Then the Repo Man dashes out of the shadows. He says, Virgil, Boxman, Duggan, Slaughter, this is going to be the best repossession in the WrestleMania.
I mean, at one point, you got to let the other guy go.
Right.
He can't defend himself.
Sid and Hogan, they start fighting while Hogan's music played. And the music only stopped after Hogan had a chance to rip his shirt off.
Yeah, he was in full character. A character.
You know that's Smash, right? From Demolition?
No.
Yep.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. What did he do wrong? WrestleMania 8 in the Hoosier Dome.
Hoosier Dome. Yeah, let's make sure we get that right. Because I got that wrong last week.
Yeah.
We are in Indianapolis. I was going to do this thing where I just said everything was in Charlotte. That would be my thing. So WrestleMania 8 kicks off with another epic voiceover from Vince K. McMahon. He talks about Savage and Flair for the title. He talks about Sid Justice and Hogan and what could be Hogan's farewell match. And Vince says it's a double main event.
It's WrestleMania!
And I had a good chuckle. And then Reba McEntire, who also made my pee-pee go ba-doing, doing, doing, kicks the national anthem. Really? Oh, yeah. I don't know why. It must be a Caucasian thing.
Okay.
She's kind of trashy and country. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. You can be on your own on that one.
I ain't on my own. I promise you that.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a big Reba, like...
Yeah, she's a country singer. That's fair. I've always seen her old, so to see her young, especially.
Well, even then, I was saying
that's fair. You don't have to.
I've never. Okay,
good. That means I can get both holds. You don't get to take one. I get them both. Heenan later calls her a Reba McEntire because he says he's Tito's sister, and wrote they can't be all winners, Bobby.
I don't know. That was funny.
Okay.
He kept going on like the whole match. He was just like, that was the flying chalupa.
Well, I thought the Ariba McEntire especially didn't land. Now you did say, oh, he's the jumping jalapeno or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, the flying jalapeno.
Yeah. Tito Santana and Shawn Michaels face each other. This is the WrestleMania debut of the Heartbreak Kid. And he's with Sensational Sherry, who sang his theme music. I forgot all about that. And it is the best version of his theme song.
I don't know. I was thinking about that. I was like, I think I like his still better.
Yeah.
But the presentation of it does sound better when she's singing it or when a girl's singing it.
I don't know. It was very 80s sounding to me. You remember How I Met Your Mother, the chick that sang the mall songs?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that sound. That cheesy. I don't know. I like it better. Tito, he comes out like a goddamn bullfighter, so this man has fallen from grace. It's kind of interesting to see how earlier nobody had a gimmick, and then they kind of transition into these ridiculous fucking gimmicks.
Yep, they got gimmicks now. We're full on gimmicked.
Well, now they'll start off with a stupid gimmick and then like kind of evolve into something better. Conan.
Well, that's the other promotion.
It's still the same time frame.
Have we caught up yet?
We're about.
Okay.
Shawn hits Santana with a super kick, and that is a setup for a slingshot suplex. But after Shawn hit the super kick, Sherry was all kinds of pissed off that he didn't go for the pin. And then Michaels wins after Santana tries a scoop slam. He grabs the rope, and then he just falls on him. Heenan wants to see the replay, but Monsoon says, no, this match is over.
He sure did.
And this was a weird match to me. It seemed like Shawn was just kind of going through the motions. And then Heenan accurately predicts that Michaels will win the WWE heavyweight title.
He did. I liked the presentation of the Heartbreak Kid. Those trunks he was wearing, that was always my favorite version. The white and red.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked that one. And I liked the presentation of him with Sherry. There was a point after the match where he wins the match, and then he calls Sherry into the ring. Oh, well, first of all, when he sent her out there, he said, don't move until I tell you to. And then, he brings her into the ring after the match. And then he literally throws her on the ground and then does his pose.
Mhm.
He's not doing the flex yet. He's just holding his hands out, but he's doing the leg part of it.
Mhm.
But it's funny that he just like throws her down, and she likes it. It's like, oh, sure, you get down like that, huh?
I bet Reba McEntire would. So after that Mean Gene, he talks to the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering. Ellering, he says that he's returned, and he is the bad apple. It was need that brought the Legion of Doom together. It was ability that propelled the Legion of Doom to be the greatest team of all time. It was honor that formed the bond that forms the Legion of Doom. And it is revenge that unites us once again. Heed my words, mark them well. This is the beginning of the end. For I have come not to get rich, but to get even. Tell him, Animal. Animal says the Legion of Doom has looked adversity in the face and beat everybody. Jimmy Hart is the lowest scum on the planet for cheating his own team, and they're coming for revenge. And how are you, DiBiase and IRS, going to feel when you've got 25 to 75,000 people chanting, LOD, LOD? There's no way you're going to beat us. Tell him, Hawk. Hawk says, we've been a runaway train with no one driving, and that's scary. Scary now because Ellering is now driving the train. The missing link has returned and made them whole again. Their hearts lie with the fans. Tell him, Paul. And then Paul says, from the rocking of the cradle to the rolling of the hearse, all tag teams out there ask themselves this question. Is the going up worth the coming down? Because the LOD is great, because we dare to be great. We've always earned our money the old-fashioned way. We beat people for it. Gene, when my boys are good, they're very good. And when my boys are bad, they're very bad. And I am the proculator of destruction. I have come for one reason and one reason only. The small detail that separates good from great. The small detail that gets us the titles that rightfully belong to the LOD. Then Animal says without Ellering's cue that will kick anyone's ass. Ain't that right, Hawk? And then Hawk says,
oh, what a rush.
Yeah, it was really cool. I liked Ellering.
Yeah. I did think it went a little long.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like they kept going, and then they passed it around and then passed it around again. But
look, they were stalling for time.
Yeah, but overall, awesome.
So after that, some dude talks to Jake the Snake Roberts, and the guy asks Jake the Snake, who's brought a snake to the ring every time we've seen him wrestle, if he's going to bring a snake to the ring. And Jake says that WWF President Jack Tunney wouldn't let him bring a snake to the ring. Then they show a clip of Jake attacking the Undertaker and Paul Bearer at Taker's funeral home. Roberts closes Taker's hand in the casket, and then he DDTs Bearer, while Taker comically tries to free his hand. And then Roberts beats the shit out of Undertaker with a chair while he's still stuck in the casket. Then the dude mentions that Jake hit Taker with everything that he had, but Taker still kept coming. And Jake says, don't worry about it.
Well, he said, I was just teasing. I didn't give him everything. But yeah, I like that whole thing. Undertaker, he gets his hand trapped in the casket, so now he can't move.
I don't know, just
and then the DDT onto Paul Bearer.
Him stiffly yanking his arm, that was very cartoony.
Oh, his hand was stuck. Now, why didn't he just pick the whole casket up and use it as a weapon?
He could have.
But yeah, and then Jake hits him, and he's just like, I don't know. I thought it was a good thing. Maybe I was a little bit biased on it because it was like the original evil guy versus the new evil guy.
Well, I like that he put hands on Paul Bearer.
Yeah, Paul Bearer took that DDT.
He sure did. He's a pro. I think he wrestled before managing. If I'm not mistaken, he was a wrestler. He wrestled Chris Von Erich. He had a little feud with him.
That's good. Truth be told, I don't know if there's any amount of money that would get me to watch that match, but...
Percy Pringle and Chris Von Erich? Oh, we're going to watch it now.
No.
Oh, we're going to watch it. This is going to be a wrestling rewind.
Like,
write that down. Percy Pringle. So then we get the match, Jake the Snake Roberts versus The Undertaker. It's weird seeing Taker without all the tattoos. Kind of striking, actually. It's almost like he's an actual church guy. Taker wrestled like Michael Myers. It was really cool, but then I thought he started to look goofy about the 5th time. Jake did the little duck punch into the gut thing, and then Taker would slowly turn around and get punched in the face.
Yeah, he was heavy into the horror slasher guy gimmick thing. Basically, he keeps moving forward, but he moves as slow as hell.
But later, he hits that diving clothesline, so you know he could at least get his arm up to block.
Right.
Just weird. So Jake hits a DDT early. Instead of pinning him, he celebrates. And then sure enough, Taker, he does a sit-up. Jake hits a short arm clothesline and hits another DDT. Taker slowly sits up after the clothesline. And Jake didn't give a shit at all. He just grabbed him. So after the second DDT, Jake goes after Paul instead of the pin. And then Jake, he socks Paul. And then Taker hits a tombstone on Jake outside of the ring. Taker rolls Jake into the ring, folds his arms, gets the pin. And Heenan and Monsoon, they're left wondering how the fuck this guy is going to be stopped. That guy being The Undertaker.
That's a good question. How do you stop The Undertaker? By the way, 2-0.
2-0, yes. I thought it was a good match. It was too short.
It was. This is one of the ones I remember vividly. So it was like, oh yeah, I remember this match. So I wasn't too surprised by anything, but it was good to watch again.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I forgot that Jake the Snake actually had a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Good to see that. So after that, Mean Gene talks to Roddy Piper and Bret Hart together. So this was unique. We don't usually see opponents, in the same interview together. It's a nice little touch there. And it turns out they're facing each other for the Intercontinental title. Bret actually looks all grown up now. Looks like a man. A hitman, if you will. Piper starts off by saying how much he loves Bret's family and that he's known Bret since he's been in diapers. Piper says, of course, you weren't potty trained since you were about 7. Then Piper tries to pinch Bret's cheek, but Bret ain't having any of that. Piper then gets irate. You're not playing along. Then Bret says all he cares about is the Intercontinental title. Piper has it. Bret's going to take it. Bret touches the Intercontinental belt, and this pisses Piper off, and he gives Bret a little shove. Well, Bret says, well, let's do it right here and now. Piper says, well, why would I do it right here when I could have 1 million people watch me kick your ass later? And Piper goes to leave, and then Bret grabs Piper's arm, and he holds up a clenched fist, and he says, I would have had you. And Piper pulls out his right hand, which has been hidden in his crotch since they started shouting, and reveals it's wrapped up in leather. He says, no, you wouldn't have. Piper keeps saying bye-bye. Bye-bye! 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 Until he leaves. After this, I was amped up for this match.
I was confused. I didn't know who the heel and who the face was because, Piper, he was, like you said, I knew this guy since he was a little kid. I remember when he was potty trained. Of course, he was 7 years old when that happened. And then there was something about his mom used to make him sandwiches. Of course, they were bologna sandwiches.
Yeah. There was only one slice of bologna, but I was hungry anyway.
Yeah, so he build him up, cut him down, build him up, cut him down. So I was like, is he the heel? But Piper, he was face at the time, so I didn't know. But maybe that was the thing.
He was playing the heel, not the dastardly heel. Maybe a little bit later once we get into the match. But he's the veteran, the current champion. He's known Bret since he was young. He's overlooking him. He still sees him as a kid. He doesn't see him as a viable challenger. To Piper, this is just something to do. It's not going to be the most important match of his career like it is for Bret right now.
I could see that, yeah.
So Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental title. Match starts off with some one-upsmanship. They both trade some arm drags. Bret proves to be the better wrestler early on, and then this frustrates the piss out of Piper. Bret fakes a shoulder injury, and he tries to win a quick one with a small package. Piper feigns sportsmanship by holding the ropes for Bret so he can get back in the ring. Then he starts beating the shit out of Bret when the ref starts checking his boots. Piper,
yeah, that was my favorite part of the match. Bret Hart hits outside the ring. He's such a good sportsman. He's holding the rope open for Bret Hart. Oh, come on, get back in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, your shoe's untied. Why don't you go ahead and tie your shoe? Because he's sportsman of the year, this guy, Roddy Piper.
Yes.
Go ahead, tie your shoe. And then he bends over to tie his shoe and he hits him in the head. I gotcha.
So this busts Bret open, and Monsoon calls a Russian leg sweep a fucking neck breaker again. How does he not know that it's a Russian leg sweep?
I don't know, but what gets on my nerves with him is every time someone gets like clotheslined over the top, oh, 360.
Oh yeah,
And then if we go all the way back to Shawn Michaels, well, I guess it wasn't the super kick at that time. He called it the crescent kick, the
crescent,
side
yes.
crescent kick. But, it wasn't a super kick at that point yet. So that
He
could
used
be
to
a
say
pass.
Pearl
but,
Harbor a lot too.
Yeah.
Oh, you got Pearl Harbored.
But I guess it could all be chalked up to him being like the old school guy. So he's calling the old school moves.
He's got like a grandpa way about him. I like Monsoon. So Piper throws Bret into the referee, so the ref's out. Then Piper takes the opportunity to grab the ring bell, and Piper goes to cream Hart, but the disgust of the fans made Piper change his mind. Then he tries to hit Bret with a sleeper hold. Bret jumps off the ropes, and he rolls up Piper for the win out of nowhere. Piper snatches up the Intercontinental title, hands it over to a still down Bret, and Piper pulls Bret to his feet, shakes his hand, and then puts the title on him. And then both men walk out friends.
And it was a hell of a match.
It was a great match.
That is not the last time you'll see Bret Hart pull a move like that, walking up the ropes for the surprise roll up.
I can't remember if that's the last time we see Piper wrestle or not.
Oh.
He might wrestle Jericho.
He looked pretty good and like shape wise.
Well, I mean for WWF.
Oh.
Of course he shows up in WCW.
Okay, get you.
But yeah, I think this was the match of the night. Just in terms of the story, who was involved. I like how Piper was overconfident and then he realized that Bret was for real. And I like that he earned Piper's respect after the match was over.
This was my runner-up match of the night. It would have been the match of the night had another match not happened.
Okay.
Obviously. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match.
So after this masterpiece, Heenan talks to Lex Luger, who's in Atlanta via satellite. And Luger praises Heenan, shits on Monsoon. He calls him fat. And then they promoted the World Bodybuilding Federation. I wrote, who cares? And then Lex drinks milk from a fancy glass.
Lex Luger was looking jacked.
Oh my God. He looked more jacked than he does in WCW.
I know. I was like, golly, look at his forearm.
His neck.
Yeah. And it sounds like this was like the early stages of the narcissist Lex Luger.
Well, he was signed with the WBF first, and then he transitioned to the narcissist after the WBF, I think, went under, if I'm not mistaken. Because WBF only lasted about 2 years, if that.
Okay. And that was the bodybuilding thing that he was pushing?
Yeah, the World Bodybuilding Federation.
Okay.
So after Lex, the Mountie, the Nasty Boys, they're backstage. Mountie says Virgil's going to be serving hard time, and Indianapolis is the best place for it for some reason. Then the Repo Man dashes out of the shadows. He says, Virgil, Bossman, Duggan, Slaughter, this is going to be the best repossession in the WrestleMania. Sag says, that's right. The Nasty Boys are going to nastize you. The Mountie is going to shove his cattle prod up your asses. And the Repo Man is going to tow away all the carcasses. Then Knob screams that the bozos better be ready because they're in for the beating of their stinking lives. Then he takes off his shirt to reveal that he has a less effective workout routine than Lex Luger.
Yeah, I didn't think that one through.
Nope. So that brings us to Slaughter, Virgil, Duggan, and Bossman to speak their speech next. Slaughter is back to being an American again. Virgil is the Phantom of the Opera. Duggan's eyes are crossed, and Bossman is there as well. Slaughter says the Nasty Boys are going to get slaughterized, and the Mountie is leaving on a horse he rode in on. And if the Repo Man wants something of theirs, all he has to do is come into the ring and take it. Bossman says, Judgment Day's at hand. Eat your last meal. Say goodbye to all your friends, because y'all about to serve nothing but hard time. And Virgil says, I got a big dick. Or no, he says, Repo Man, Mountie, the Nasty Boys, my nose is protected, but who's going to protect your nose? And I was like, shit, it's real now.
I just want to take a second to appreciate the fact that Sergeant Slaughter, 1 year previous, was headlining a main event of WrestleMania against Hulk Hogan, and 1 year later, he is in this.
Well, it could be worse. He could be wrestling Hillbilly Jim and 2 other midgets.
Yeah. King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
I don't know. This might be even worse. At least there was a story of that match of him catching that midget.
I think there's a story in this one too. We just don't know what it is. So Duggan says at WrestleMania, folks have seen some great wrestling. But if you want to see a fight, you just watch this 8-man tag later. There's not going to be any takedowns. There's not going to be any go-behinds. I'll let you in on our strategy. Attack, attack, attack.
Yep, you pretty much said it right there.
And then Duggan and Slaughter, they both ho. And finally, we get the Mountie, Repo Man, and the Nasty Boys versus Virgil, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Sergeant Slaughter, and the Big Boss Man in an 8-man tag team. Some Family Feud dipshit did a little bit before the match that really grinded my gears. Nasty Boys, they try to double team Virgil. Virgil ducks. Sags takes out Knobs. Virgil gets the cover and the win. Meh. Could have done without this match. The Repo Man and Mountie.
Crazy of a match, yeah.
Yeah, Repo Man and Mountie were competing their asses off over who was going to be the more over the top one of the two.
Obviously, it was the Repo Man.
Obviously. I think he had the moment of the night when he dashed out of the shadows. And then it was great. Especially the way that the camera cut to him. It's like it knew.
Yeah, he was in full character. A character.
And you know that Smash, right? From Demolition?
No.
Yep.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What did he do wrong?
I don't know, but he did it.
Golly.
After that, some dude talks to Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair. They're in the back. Perfect and Flair, they tease having a giant nude photo of Miss Elizabeth. Flair says after he's done beating the shit out of Savage, Perfect is going to show the world Miss Elizabeth's centerfold. Flair says Liz has one more shot at Space Mountain. And then Mr. Perfect asks if he can come too. And then Mean Gene reveals that Savage is not granting any interviews. And that's that as far as Savage's side goes. So I guess the story is at some point Ric Flair fucked Elizabeth.
At least that's what he's having you believe.
Right. And in the midst of all that fucking, he took nude photos of Miss Elizabeth and then published them in some sort of magazine that offers the centerfold. And then he's going to release the magazine that's already published to the world. Does that kind of jive with what's going on here?
Yep.
Okay. So, yep. Nature Boy Ric Flair versus Macho Man Randy Savage. It's for the WWF Championship. And we're going to actually have to tally how many times Ric Flair faces Savage when this is all said and done. Because it's a fucking lot.
They're definitely a fight forever duo.
It's fight forever so much that it was really hard to get into this because we've seen this match so many times. Perfect was all over the place. He broke up a pin after Savage's elbow. He at one point hit a Savage with the chair. Flair, of course, he gets busted open. And then Elizabeth comes out. She's flocked by a group of men. And they tell her to go back to the back the entire fucking time she's out there.
Including one Shane O'Mac.
I saw one of the Hebners.
Yeah, the Hebner twins, but yeah, Shane O'Mac was out there.
Okay. Good eye. Savage ends up winning with a roll-up, and he grabs a handful of Flair's tights. And then Flair kisses Liz after the match. Liz windmills and beats the shit out of Flair. Then Savage, he beats the shit out of Flair. Then WWF officials, they pin Savage down onto the mat while Flair and Mr. Perfect each take turns kicking and punching him.
I mean, they really had him tied up.
They were lying down on his arms while Perfect and Savage, Flair elbow dropped him.
Yeah, they're
like, no, we got to protect you.
I was laughing so hard at this. The fact that they were restraining him.
Yes.
And at one point, Flair has like the full mount on him, and he's like pounding down on him. And they're holding his arms.
They're not even letting him defend himself.
Yeah, we gotta save you from yourself.
And it was even funnier because once Savage got up, you see his leg is fucked up. So like, why are you holding him down? He can't go anywhere.
And I'm thinking here, okay, let's think about this. Maybe it was the guys that were supposed to be holding Flair back that weren't doing their job. I mean, at one point, you got to let the other guy go.
Right.
He can't defend himself. And he's Mr. Perfect. And Ric Flair just taking turns going on.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
But it was funny as hell.
Yeah. So was that your match of the night?
That was my match of the night.
I kind of figured.
Yeah, was it overbooked? Of course. Have we seen them wrestle a lot? Yes. But I don't know. It was just entertaining to me.
Okay. I don't know. The one they had at, what was it, Slamboree, where Flair lost too much blood to do a post-match interview. I think that might be my favorite one.
All right.
Flair would say some things after the match, but he's just lost too much blood.
We didn't lose too much blood this time.
No. In fact, after the match, some dude is with a pissed off Mr. Perfect. Perfect says Flair was robbed because Savage grabbed a handful of the trunks. Heenan comes in and he complains about the tights and he's all beside himself. Flair, all bloody, says, "We have a man claiming to be the world's champion." Flair calls Elizabeth a Jezebel. He says they don't cry over spilled milk. If you can do it once, do it again. One time means nothing. Perfect says they don't take shortcuts like Savage. And Heenan shouts some more. It looks like he's about to cry. And Flair says it's on. And he's going to beat the fuck out of Savage and force himself on Liz every fucking time he sees her. Every time I see your wife, I'm just going to fuck her. Right then and there. I hate you, Savage. So the Mean Gene, he's with the new champ. Gene brings up the tights. Savage says he doesn't give a shit because he's the one with the belt. Savage says he took a piece of Flair, but he hasn't beat him up properly. Savage says he'll do anything to win, and he's madder now because Flair smooched Miss Elizabeth. Then Gene tries to ask Elizabeth a question, but Savage shoos her away with the belt. So take this, get out of here. And yeah, that was Savage, Liz, and Gene.
There'll probably be another Hogan and Flair match. Probably. I'm sure they had it within the same year.
No, Hogan and Flair don't have a match.
Sorry, Macho Man and Flair.
Yeah, they feud. Well, we'll get to it. So after this, it's Rick Martel versus Tatanka. Indians from Tatanka's home tribe in North Carolina dance in the ring before the match. And then while the Indians dance, some dude talks to Martel in the back. Martel says Indians have no class or style. He's gonna have to disinfect everything with his spray. Martel says he heard there might not even be a match tonight because Tatanka's still out there scalping tickets.
Got him.
So Tatanka won with a crossbody. Probably the best part of the whole thing was Heenan and Gorilla talking about the Savage Flair match. Heenan lost his shit. He's screaming. He grabbed the tights! He grabbed the tights, Monsoon! He grabbed the tights! And then Monsoon's laughing at him. And then Heenan's just like, put him up! That's it! Put him up! We're fighting.
Yeah, I like the part where he's like, look at you getting upset. Gorilla Monsoon, he's like, I'm not getting upset. I'm not upset!
Yeah. So after this match, some dude talks to DiBiase and IRS. Jimmy Hart's also there. And Hart says he knows all about the natural disaster's weaknesses. DiBiase says you don't write checks your ass can't cash. And IRS says they ain't taking the big men lightly, but they're going to take them, which was a little suspicious. Mean Gene talks to Earthquake and Typhoon, the natural disasters. Typhoon says Hart has something coming to him, and Money Inc. is also going to get it. Earthquake says ditto.
Pretty much. Or was that Typhoon that said that? No, you're right.
No,
right.
Typhoon was first.
Yeah.
Money Inc. versus the Natural Disasters. Follow all that. It's for the WWF Tag Team Championship. And there's a fan that has a sign that says Natural Disasters rule. And Heenan calls her a bimbo.
And says she should be making sandwiches.
After getting their asses kicked by the Natural Disasters, Money Inc., they just grab their titles and leave. So the Disasters win by countout. And I am not sure why this match was even on the card.
Yeah, it was a little bit much for them to try to overcome the natural disasters. But I do like the fact that they, for once, didn't celebrate. Usually when they get the count out, they celebrate like they won.
Yeah.
And it's like, you didn't win the title.
They start posing.
Yeah, but they didn't celebrate. They were like, well, fuck.
Yeah. So after that, we have Skinner versus the Rocket, Owen Hart. Owen Hart does a backflip off the top ropes, and Skinner just spits in Owen's face. Skinner tries to win with a reverse DDT. Owen kicks out. Skinner beats Owen's ass and tries to dump him outside the ring. Skinner starts celebrating. Meanwhile, Owen does the little Shawn Michaels kip-up thing where he pulls himself back into the ring, and Owen hits Skinner with a roll-up for the win. And I don't remember Owen wearing MC Hammer pants, but he did.
I do remember those vaguely, yeah.
I remember Blue Blazer. I remember the pink with the black heart and shit, but I don't remember MC Hammer pants.
I remember those. What I don't remember was, who was he facing? Skinner? Yeah, Skinner. What I don't remember is Skinner.
Really? You don't remember Skinner?
No.
I do.
He had the dip.
Yep.
And he got Owen Hart good when
he sure did.
Right when he hit that backflip, and he got him right in the face. Like, oh God.
That's why I remember him. I watched a Royal Rumble that he was in, and he had the dip, and it was going down and under his chest and shit. It was disgusting.
Yeah, and he's apparently a good old Louisiana boy.
With his dip.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of dip, we have our main event. It is Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice. What is teased as Hulk Hogan's final match with the World Wrestling Federation. So this whole thing started during a press conference where President Jack Tunney, the same guy that banned Jake Roberts from bringing the snake to the ring, he named Hulk Hogan the #1 contender. And this pisses Sid off all kinds of ways. Sid later does an interview and he calls the decision stupid. And he just stews and you can just see the rage. Later, Sid and Hogan, they team up against The Undertaker and Ric Flair, which, what a team. And then Sid does the Macho Man thing where he just walks out on Hogan while Hogan begs. And Beefcake confronts Sid as he walks out, and Sid just yells at him and keeps walking. And later on, Sid confronts Beefcake at his barbershop thing, and Beefcake ends up falling down like an 80s scream queen and running away. Sid, covered in barber products, he screams about Hogan being a coward. Then they play like a little montage of Sid just beating the fuck out of different people, which is awesome.
Jobbers.
Yeah, little Minnesotans. And later, Mean Gene, he talks to Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Brutus's career was cut short due to a boating accident, but he's Hulk Hogan's best friend. And Beefcake says he's been with Hogan through all the ups and downs, but Hogan's always kept his dignity and always held his head up high. Beefcake is there to say, "We're behind you, Hulkster."
And then he said something about Hulkamania will live forever.
And boy, will it.
So, the boating accident, was this like a real thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So later, Mean Gene talks to Sid Justice. I don't know the details or I'd expand on that. I just know
that was good enough.
Yeah. Gene says that he expects the match against Hogan and Sid to be a barn burner. Sid tells Gene to shut up, you fat, bald little oaf. Sid says, a barn burner this will not be. It's going to be Hogan's last match. As I stand in that ring and as you walk down that aisle, you just remember one thing. I am the master and you are but the learner. Gene shows Sid a Vince interview with Hulk Hogan on his little Johnny Carson clone show. Vince asks Hogan if it's going to be his last match at WrestleMania. Hogan says he just won't know until he comes out of the ring. And then Vince thanks Hogan on behalf of all the wrestling fans. Then they cut back to Gene, and Gene says, "Hey, see, I told you it wasn't his last match." Sid says, "Shut up! I told you I don't give a damn about the memories of Hulk Hogan. The only thing to remember is that Sid Justice is the man that ended Hulkamania. Now you, Hogan, I curse you. I curse you and every Hulkamaniac, because I rule the world." And we finally get to the match. Sid Justice, Hulk Hogan. Dr. Harvey Whippleman, he does the announcing job for Sid, where he just tells everybody to show respect. Show your respect! And then Sid and Hogan, they start fighting while Hogan's music played. And the music only stopped after Hogan had a chance to rip his shirt off and pose.
Absolutely. He attacks Hogan before the match, but the music is still playing until he fends him off long enough to do the shirt ripping off. This is another thing I was just rolling on the floor laughing about. Like, it's still playing.
So fucking weird, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, is it going to play the whole match or just until he gets his shirt off?
Well, you got your answer. Sid does a one-handed chokeslam to Hogan, and then Hogan starts doing convulsions. Sid takes his time to say into the camera that, "Do unto the man what he does unto you. Just do it first." Justice gets Hogan out of the ring and then starts beating him up with Whippleman's doctor bag. Heenan said, "Who knows what's in it?" I love that Sid just yells "power bomb," like he does the throat slash, "Power bomb!"
And then the cross thing, yeah.
Hogan gets hit with the safest power bomb, and then starts convulsing. And then he kicks out, then starts hulking up. Hogan hits the leg drop, but Sid actually kicks out. There's a story to this, I know. I just don't remember it. I think it had something to do with Papa Shango. I think he came out late, so Sid had to kick out.
I could see that. But now that I think about it, Papa Shango didn't come out to the very, very end. But yeah, he shouldn't have kicked out, of course.
Right. Well, he kicked out, and then Papa Shango attacked him. So Sid kicked out of Hulk Hogan's most devastating move, and the match is still on. Sid still has a chance for the WWF title. So it makes no sense for Shango at that point to interfere.
Wait, didn't Whippleman interfere?
He got up on the ring apron, Sid kicked out, and then Hulk Hogan immediately went to Harvey Whippleman.
Yeah, and then they called for the bell.
Yeah. And then Shango came out.
Yeah.
So Shango was late.
Okay.
I'd almost put money on it now. Now that we talked it through.
We figured it out.
Yeah. Got that old noggin jogging. Sid kicks out. Hogan gets into it with Whippleman, and he tries to toss him at Sid. Sid catches Whippleman, and then he starts fighting with Hogan. Then Papa Shango comes in. He beats Hogan's ass. And then Ultimate Warrior comes out. He helps Hogan. And then Warrior dumps Shango. He gets hit by a chair with Sid. And Hogan just yanks the chair from Sid. And then Sid just runs away. And Hogan is announced the winner via disqualification. And there's only one thing to do. Pose with the Ultimate Warrior, which they do. And then there's a shit ton of fireworks.
There was a lot of fireworks.
And then Warrior and Hogan didn't look like they were on the same page at all with the celebration. In fact, Warrior looks very confused.
Yeah, Hogan, he would point to which side of the crowd, and then he'd do the ear thing. And then Warrior is like, am I supposed to do that too?
Yeah.
They couldn't get on the same page, but it was all entertaining.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, Hulkamania lives to fight another day at least. And the aftermath from this is it's the last pay-per-view appearance for Miss Elizabeth in the WWF. Savage, he continued to feud with Flair, with the premise being that Flair fucked Liz at one time and he has naked pictures. It turned out that the pictures were fake and they were really of Liz and Savage. So Flair has pictures of Liz and Savage fucking then. Interesting. So Savage and Liz, split up in real life, and that would facilitate her leaving the WWF.
Oh.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. But we'll see her in WCW. And it's almost like they pick up where they left off as far as her and Flair. I got your naked pictures, Liz.
Oh, we're just going to a different promotion, but same story.
Right.
I still got them.
This is the beginning of a major push for Shawn Michaels, if you couldn't already tell. Michaels,
I believe well, no, we're on 9 next.
Yeah, 9.
But WrestleMania 10, it's the ladder match, so.
Oh, nice. Michaels, he will eventually challenge Savage and Hart for the heavyweight and intercontinental titles, respectively. And then Michaels, eventually, he wins the IC belt from British Bulldog. And this was billed as Hogan's last match, but he actually just went away for a while because the steroid scandal started picking up.
Yeah.
Piper also went on hiatus, though I highly doubt steroids played a part in that.
That's probably movies for him.
Yeah, probably. Jake Roberts, he also left, but he'll come back as a born-again Christian, so that's fun.
I mean, you don't say there was a steroid allegation with how jacked Lex Luger was.
Right.
Like, gee, I wonder.
Mr. Paint Can Neck.
Yeah.
And Sid does not stick around until next year to wrestle midgets in Hillbilly Jim. He loses to Ultimate Warrior and The Undertaker, and then he just leaves the company. Of course, he comes back at some point, but he doesn't stay long.
Yeah, he was a muscle for Shawn Michaels at one point after Diesel.
And then they feuded. He was Psycho Sid.
That's when he became Psycho Sid. Monsoon was already calling him Psycho Sid now, but, he was always one of my favorite guys.
I like him, yeah.
The master and the ruler of the world. And then he do his laughing thing.
Mm-hmm. With his eyes closed. Looked like he got sweat in his eyes.
And he always had one of the better power bombs.
Oh, yeah. He was
not the Hogan one, but
he was a big-ass Texan, and he looked the part. Yeah, I enjoy Sid a lot.
He was my favorite before, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart started picking up steam. I remember from WCW too, so there is that. But yeah, you don't want to talk about early Goldberg. This was the guy.
My first introduction, he beat Shawn Michaels, and I remember crying because he beat him. How could you beat Shawn?
Yeah, I remember getting upset because he basically killed Shawn when he turned on him.
Yeah, it was good shit though.
Yeah,
But yeah, that is WrestleMania 8. WrestleMania 9's next. I think that's Yokozuna. I think that's the debacle with that.
Was that the double main event?
Uh,
Luger and
yeah, I think you're thinking of SummerSlam.
sure was.
But before we get to WrestleMania 9, we have Bash at the Beach to look forward to from WCW. And the whole evening, it's just going to be outsiders and their mystery partner, Rey Mysterio.
Who's the third man?
Who is the third man? We have no idea. There's no way for us to know.
There's not.
Rey Mysterio faces Psychosis, which was a good match. This was my first pay-per-view that I've ever owned, so I've watched it quite a few times. Yeah, Rey Mysterio and Psychosis, great match. And then DDP and Jim Duggan is interesting just because of the styles clash.
All right. Something to look forward to. Wonder who that third man's going to be.
I had no idea.
And I wonder if that's going to change the wrestling industry as we know it.
Nah.
It'll probably just be a run-of-the-mill event.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be anything of consequence. What I'm really interested in is what's going to happen with the Dungeon of Doom and Shark and Zodiac.
And Tenta.
Yeah.
Is he going to get his revenge, Tenta?
We need to see. Actually, he faces Boss Man.
Again?
So,
didn't they just do
yeah.
that? All right. So there is that. But
yeah, we're off to the races with the NWO. We can't wait.
Yeah, we're in for an exciting time. But as always, if you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us on all the social medias. Thank you for the previous year, and we look forward to the new year. And until next time, Top Guys out.